Warrior, ladies and gentlemen. Warrior, season three, season three, episode 10, season finale.
A window of fucking opportunity.
And ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of Warrior for the second time. It's your boy Icon with another TV review for you. And we have a special guest in the house tonight, Magnus, everybody. Good old Magnus, cuz from day one, brother from another mother, cousin, family, and friend. And we're here to talk about this Warrior. Fun fact, everybody, this is the man who actually got me into Warrior. So it's appropriate to have him on what I hope is not the final episode or the final season of Warrior. Do you remember like how you got me into the show?
Yeah, pretty much, I was just, you already knew my affinity for the martial arts, and you also know that I am a big fan of the legendary Bruce Lee.
Of course.
We've always gone back and forth as far as my favorite character from Street Fighter, Fei Long, which was my favorite character and whatnot. So,
shout out to Fei Long.
Yes, sir. So, I said, oh, did you know that they're doing a series on HBO Max? It was something that Bruce Lee had wanted to complete before Hollywood had screwed him over. This was a project that Bruce Lee had wanted to get underway before, unfortunately, during, racism at the time, they wouldn't allow Bruce Lee to showcase his talents and his project, which was The Warrior.
Yeah.
And they substituted him for a Caucasian character, David Carradine. Years have gone by. Bruce Lee's daughter, Shannon, pretty much brought it back. That's how we both got into the series, if you will, or how you knew about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, and it's cool too because like the world's a little bit more open now. So, like you said, like Hollywood screwed him over back in the day, and it's nice that his daughter still kept his story and like held on to his dream, And I guess when she felt the time was right and the world was more willing to accept, like a foreign person in a leading role, then she was able to come back to it. And kudos to HBO Max for picking it up. I mean, but for me, the way that I got into it, because I don't know if you remember this. We were like, you had came over to the house and you were just on TV, like just watching like random program. And I was on the computer doing some editing for one of my videos, and you put Warrior on and you were watching it, like you're watching it on television, and I'm sitting like next to you on the computer doing my editing. And it was one of those things where I'm trying to edit, but I was unintentionally like listening to the show in the background. And as I'm editing, like I kept turning around. Like I kept turning around, and then I just stopped what I was doing. I was like, what the hell is this? Because for some reason, like it's really getting my attention. And then like after you left and you went home and I finished my edit, I said, let me go back and see what the hell he was watching. And then I just ended up watching the whole thing straight through. And I said, I enjoyed it. Like this show is so good. Like my mama watches more. So let's get right into it and talk about the season finale. So just to cross the T's and dot the I's, because every character pretty much got an ending, like some sort of like, resolution to their character arc. And the one resolution that I was happy about, that I was happy to see, it started with Mai Ling. Because remember the episodes where she was being befriended by those white women? And then she tried to, work with that one girl's husband. And then, because he was trying to get some ass, and then she said no, like he turned on her. Then the wife knew that because I don't know if it was you, but I remember talking about this where when he was coming on to Mai Ling, the wife was like watching the entire thing happen. She was talking to him, like she heard the conversation. So for her to turn around and then just have Mai Ling arrested, I'm like, bitch, like, but she didn't try to. And the whole from that point on, I was just like, I swear to God, if Mai Ling gets out of prison, I hope she brings the goons to that woman's house and kills her. This was actually better because she didn't kill her. She talked her into submission. Like she sat her down and then she was like, look, she said, your husband ain't shit. Like, he goes out and has sex with mad women. And instead of you just owning up to that, but because you didn't want to lose your precious money, your millions, and all this other stuff, it was easier for you to throw me under the bus. But she was just like, one day the blood, like the pain, the anguish, him smelling like cheap whores. She's like, one day that's gonna get to you. And when that day happens, she put the knife in her hand. And the cool thing about, for me specifically, what I thought was cool about it, when she told her, when you get to the point where you can't take it anymore, and she gave her the knife, she never specified if the purpose of the knife was for her to kill her husband or for her to kill herself. And then she just got up like a boss and walked out of the room. And then Becky started crying, and then the credits rolled, and I was dying. Like, I thought that shit was awesome. But what about you? Like, what did you think about like that whole exchange, like that entire character arc overall, and where it ended?
Considering how short-sighted she is, she's a very smart. I mean, she's very intelligent as far as how she goes about it. I mean, like what you were saying, that I mean, pretty much it's her choice as far as what she wants to do with the knife.
Her DNA was all over the damn knife too, so it's like she can't even kill her husband and blame My Ling. My Ling put it like directly in the palm of her hand and made her. I was like, oh, there go your fingerprints.
I just thought that part, but because I thought that she was actually going to use a knife on her,
Yeah,
you know, Myling on her. So, but then like when she gave her the knife, I was like, oh, this is very interesting.
yeah.
And, but I like how it was played though. She pretty much played her pretty well
So do
in
we
that regard.
do we think in the future? So if you had to take a guess when that time does come, do you think she's gonna kill her husband or kill herself?
The way she was balling at that point, I think she might do it, to, to herself. She's not gonna go do it to the husband because she was just completely distraught. For someone who has that weight of guilt over them, I would have to say it's a pretty high percentage, that she may unalive herself.
Yeah, he
You
said it
know,
alive. Yeah, because
you
reality
know,
is reality is the kryptonite of a delusional person or someone that lives in a bubble. So I
right.
was I was happy about that. I did my only wish is that the husband would have came home, and then they just showed the girl sitting there like contemplating like should I go stab him right now, but the actor who played the husband, he never came back. But that was it, and then like well then we don't see My Ling again until pretty much the end of the episode, so like they kind of put her arc on hold. So the next character, because a lot of like if you weren't the main character, like and by that I basically mean Azam, like every character basically got a short little like 5 minute, hey, this is the ending, and we're moving on, because a Toy's whole situation, like I thought I thought her whole deal was gonna end with, and I almost got what I wished for, because I said this in my last two reviews. Because Leary had beef with what was it? Not Davenport, that's the white woman name. I thought there was gonna be because he had fucked over Leary, and he was just like, to hell with the Irishman, and then he tried to bring him over. I thought Leary was gonna show up to try to kill him. At the same time, a Toy was gonna show up and try to kill him, and then I thought Leary and a Toy was gonna get into some shit. But instead of that, like a Toy actually beat him to the punch, because when Leary went down there to whoop his ass, he ran into Big Bill, and he was just like, "Oh, you wanted me to be captain, and now I'm captain," and he's like, "You can't go in there." Meanwhile, while he's talking Leary off the ledge, a Toy's up there like dicing him up. And even Miss Davenport, like she came in with a shotgun, and I felt bad too, because like they did lie dirty. You know what I'm saying? Like which, I mean, yes, it was due to her own stupidity, but when they came back, because I thought he was gonna like tie her up in the basement and just like whoop her. I didn't think he was gonna kill her and leave her on the doorstep. I was like, because
Right.
once that happened, like once Lie died, I said, "Damn, B," I said, "Now you got to go." I was like, "There's no like." That was the moment where I was like, "Okay, there's no coming back for you in season 4. Like when the season finale starts, like you're done." you know?
Right.
And that's pretty much what happened. Like a Toy came in the room, and then he got all cocky about it. He thought he was gonna do to her what he did to Lie, but a Toy's a grown ass woman with talent, with
Right.
talent,
Right.
and she cut him up, something good. And then when Bill,
Yeah, 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 yeah. And man, there's been some bad guys that they deserve what they
Yeah.
what they get at the end. I really didn't think that that was bad.
Yeah.
The way he got cut up real bad. Yeah, I didn't want to see Lai die either. Like I said, I've seen like there were some bad guys who really deserve, certain deaths. This one, for me, I didn't think he really deserved that that kind of death.
He deserved to catch
You
it
know,
that
be,
bad.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he was bad, but he didn't really deserve that, to me,
I mean, I don't
in my
know.
opinion.
I felt a little dick because, like I said, like this woman basically tried to take, like whores off the street and like, give them better. Like he did some, like you got to remember, like he did some dirtbag shit. Like he burnt. Remember all them Chinese women he killed when he burnt down her wine vineyard and everything, and you know,
Oh yes, I did. Yeah. Oh yes, I remember that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I
killing
remember that. Yeah.
Killing Lie was like the ice. That's what I said. For me, I was like, damn, you need to go, bro. But and I like the fact that he died knowing that he met his end, won by the sword, because he was basically trying to like pretend like he was the greatest swordsman of all time. Like he died by the sword, and he died at the hands of a Chinese woman. So that had to that had to brutally like hurt his ego. And then yeah, and
Right.
then but see, here's the thing that I thought was weird, because Bill often went to like her brothel. He went, like, her and Bill actually had conversation. There were plenty of moments where he was there at the bar. Remember she slipped him the envelope, and then the two of them had conversation. But I don't know if it's because he's used to seeing her like in a fancy dress with makeup and her hair done. Because when he saw her, I thought he recognized her, but then when Leary was like, "Who the hell was that?" Bill was like, "I don't know, but she's gone now." And I was just like, "Did you not recognize?" And I was like, I was unclear about whether or not he recognized her. So maybe that's something that'll come up in season 4, where he'll be like, like, "I know you were the one that killed him. I watched him, whatever." And he was just lying. But I was like, "But how do you not know that was?" But they said maybe again, we're all used to her looking a certain way. A toy is basically that modern, that age's version of a vigilante, where it's like she has her daytime persona and then she has her nighttime persona. After she killed the dude, she told Miss Davenport that she didn't feel any way about it. She didn't feel better, she didn't feel worse, and then she started crying. The white woman held her, and then after she started crying, like, we didn't see a toy again for the rest of the episode. So what do you think, going, if there's a season 4, God willing, what do you think's going to happen to a toy, and where hers, because like, where does she go now?
That's a good question. I mean, if I can recall, they did talk about wanting to go to a new location. They wanted to rebuild at a new location because what's his name? He wanted to run a railroad through their whole operation. So my guess is that just a bond that the both of them have for each other, I wouldn't be surprised that they are going to start over.
Well, she
You
tried
know,
that before. Like, she asked her, because remember before she was like, "Hey, I found a new piece of land, that'll be perfect for the girls." And then that's when the toy was like, "No," she was like, "The girls are safe out here," and she was like, "You go, white lady." Because I was like, but I don't know if she feels differently about it now, because most of the people are dead. And then here's an interesting thing, because remember in season 1, she was the one who was going around killing all these people, and then they set up the hatchet guy, and they bled like the guy who ended up taking the fall, who was the crazy guy for the long Z that they had to get rid of. Remember, they framed him, but it was actually a toy who was the one dicing people. So even if Bill did know that was her, even if Bill was aware that that was her, we're in a situation now where the guy who got framed for hatcheting people, he's back on the streets, and a toy's going back to cutting people up. So I'm like, they might set him up a second time, like a second time for all this. That was
mhm.
another spoiler. Like, moving on into another character, the printer's daughter. They did the thing where Hazam had, he dimed them out, and he was just like, "Listen, I'll tell you where the plates are, as long as you make sure like nobody dies on either end." And he was like, "Once you get the plates back, then you let homegirl out of prison." So the cops were on their way down there. And then we saw in the last episode, Chow got ran up on by the black people, and then Chow told the black people where they could find the plates. So now, and then the cops even said, like Richard told them, he was like, "Listen, if you set us up," he was like, "the deal is off." So now the cops were there, like the government, what I'm saying, like the Secret Service was there, the black people was there, the Chinese people were there, and everybody was going after the plates. It was this huge big fight scene, like people got shot. We had a cool fight scene with Hazam and one of the black dudes. During the fight scene, Hazam had stabbed him in the chest with a knife and then threw him on the floor so the knife could further go into his chest. And I was like, that's OD. I was like, that's OD. And then,
Just a
Hazam,
little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
just smidge it. And then Hazam got the plates back. And then when he got the plates back, he gave them to Richard. And then Richard was just like, what the hell is this? I thought we had a deal. He was like, we still do have a deal. He was like, here's the plates. And then he was like, are you going to keep your end of the deal? And he was like, yes. He was like, you have my word. Richard kept his word. He let homegirl out of prison. And she looked shot. Like the actress that played that role, when he told her, like when he told her that she was free to go, the look on her face was like, like what's this crazy white man doing? So that was interesting. She went down to the to the railroad so she can get out of town. Her and Nizam was supposed to get out of town. And then when that happened, that's when Chow showed up, and then Chow gave her the money because when Hazam tried to escape, he got knocked out, and then they took him back to the Hopway. But then Chow gave her the money, told her, he's like, you need to go. She got on the train. She left. I assume we'll never see her again. And after Chow saw her get on the train, the Hatchet guy ended up showing up, and he basically killed Chow. Like, is that what we're going with? Like, do we feel like he killed Chow? And then the weird thing is he came at the end of season 2, like when he broke out of prison, and it took the whole damn season for him to come back. He literally showed up at the last second and did one thing. I don't think we're gonna see the Printer's daughter no more. I mean, she got all of Hazam's money. So I don't see why she would come back. What are your thoughts on that whole sequence with the money and everything, and then your boy young Chow getting stabbed in the back, literally?
Yeah, despite what people may feel about him, I don't know. Chow was my boy, and he's another person who I didn't think that he was gonna get done like that. What's the best way to describe it? You were about that life. He ran that kind of lifestyle. So,
I mean, it's only a matter of time. But the funny thing is, it's like out of all the stuff that he survived, it's like you got done in by that dude.
of
And
all
then
people,
and then I forgot. I was like, why kill Chow of all people? And then I forgot Chow was one of the people who set him up. Like that whole thing. That whole thing like completely slipped my mind too. But it's interesting. I mean, do we think Chow was dead? Is the question.
oh yeah.
Oh shit.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, you're talking about tremendous amount of blood loss there. I can't recall where he got stabbed up, but but even still, that's tremendous amount of blood loss right there.
He got stabbed in the back, like straight up in the back. I don't know. I mean, I hope he's not dead because, like you said, I like his character too, but I don't, like I said, unless like a good Samaritan saved his life at the last second, like, yeah, I think it's a wrap for Chap. Like, I think,
Hey, anything can happen.
and the Printer's daughter, like her daddy, he ain't shit because she came back and then he was just like, oh, here, and then it's like, how do you know he got out of prison? Like, he already had her bag packed, like when she came home, and then she was just like, Father, I'm out of prison. He's like, you are dead to me. He's like, brought shame to the family. And I was just like, that's some dirt. The brother wasn't even there either. So I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, he seemed like one of those people that, like, like he don't like women anyway. Because like she said, like she knows more about printing than the son does, but he's gonna leave the business to the son. So I was like, can somebody kill the dad? I'm like, we losing people that actually like it. Like, this douchebag is still here. But yeah, that was sad. I mean, I hope Chow makes it, but I guess we'll see what happens with that in season 4. And then, after a job well done, after Richard killed his entire family, he finally got, relieved of what he did down in the South about killing his cousins. The Secret Service guy, he got his plates back. And then, Big Bill and Richard, they were sitting there talking. The wife was talking to the black girlfriend. And I'm just like, this is a nice moment. Like, I want to believe that there are people out there that don't see the color of her skin and just view her as just like a regular person. But you got to remember the times we're living in. I was like, ain't no way in hell his wife would have been that cool talking to this black girl. I was like, I wanted to believe it so bad, but she was just like, when she told Bill, she's like, oh, get out of the house so her and I can catch up. I was like, nah. And then after that, Big Bill and Richard, they were on the front porch. And obviously, I mean, we all knew this was coming. Bill was just like, would you like to rejoin the police force? And then, he said yes, so now he's back on the police force. Richard and Bill are back together. Apparently their wives are besties, which is I mean, it's awkward. It's like, I'm not buying it, but I can buy it in this particular setting because it's not like anyone's gonna, I mean, people are going to always talk behind his back, but no one's going to fuck with them because, he's friends with the chief of police and he's a cop. So that was basically how their story ended. Like, there was no drama. There was no bloodshed. Like, everybody's perceived as like being happy. Leary ended up rolling up on one of the other big wigs. and he convinced one of the other like rich guys to, to back him and hire Irish labor. So now Leary's basically partnering up with the wealthy because he learned some tricks from the other dude. So that's going to be his whole thing. He's still trying to get jobs for the working man, and everything. So Buckley, he ended up asking Homegirl to propose to him. And then in the next scene, she was in bed with the next dude, with the next dude. And I said from the beginning
Yeah,
that,
straight blue. No,
uh,
I said do a straight blue pill.
yeah, so I'm like, but I said last season, and I still feel this way to this day. I feel like that woman was a plant. Like, remember Penny? Like, do we remember Penny? What the hell happened to Penny? Like, Buckley threw her in the crazy house. She was perceived to be crazy. Her sister was banging Leary. We don't see the sister. We don't see Penny. And then this random lady comes out of nowhere, infiltrating, like Buckley and the mayorship. And then she helps him become mayor. And then we find out she's actually like, screwing some other dude behind his back. So I feel like Penny sent her to get revenge, like on behalf of the family. I mean, out of those three storylines between Bill and Richard, between Leary with the working man and then with Buckley and the whole thing about Homegirl, just basically marrying him because he's mayor. I mean, I don't know if you want to touch, if you got an opinion on all three situations or you just want to touch on one, but what do you think about those three particular situations as far as how it ended for them and where things might go in season 4?
Officer Lee, he kind of surprised me there because it seemed like, he was never going to come back. But being now, he's chief now, so, he's really a good guy. It was bound to happen. So with the mayor, oh, wow. And when I saw that scene when he, was professing to her and all this, I was just rolling my eyes like, I'm like this, I'm like, no, 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 no. And I think it's just because us guys, we've gone through it. It's like we see it. I'm reliving those times when I was, back then. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
God, no. It was just so cringe because you could just see it in her eyes, like, he's like, yeah, yeah, I got you now, bitch.
Yeah, gotcha, bitch.
That was a tough blow for him, and he might still be blue pill. I don't even think he's gonna take the red pill. I don't know.
He needs to stop. He needs to stop simping and start pimping.
Yeah. I mean, he's mayor for crying out loud. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I'm like, ugh, that was so cringe.
And he did do one nice thing though, because he still values Mai Ling as giving him info and insight into Chinatown. So when they sent the police department down there to go get the plates, he did pull her out of the fire, so she wasn't a part of that whole thing. Because he was like, "Bitch, I just got you out of prison," so so she's safe again. But it made her look bad in the eyes of like the Hopway, which brings us to the final scene, which took over the rest of the episode because now all T's have been crossed, all I's have been dotted. But now we're back at Hopway territory. Hazam had just woke up because he got knocked out during the whole plate fiasco. And when he wakes up, he realizes that he missed his deadline to go meet Homegirl at the train station. So in his mind, he's just like, well, there goes my money and she's gone. So now then he looks around and he's like, why is everybody gearing up? Why they're getting their weapons together? And then that's when and I didn't realize we didn't see Young Jun until that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like Young Jun wasn't in the episode until that moment. And then Young Jun was just like, well, Mai Ling's, like her people defected from her. Her tongue is vulnerable right now. Her husband's gone now. And then Young Jun thinks that she was the one that snitched on them to the cops, which is ironic because it was Hazam who snitched. So his whole thing is he's gathering up the troops and they're on their way to go kill Mai Ling. And then he told him, he said, listen, he was like, I know this is your sister and this is tough for you. So I'm not going to ask you to come with us. But if you're going to try to stop us, we got to put a cork in that bottle right now. And then throughout the entire season, they were really like building a bond between Assam and, and Mai Ling. Like the two of them were hanging out together, having conversation. They were laughing, they were joking, and she invited him to the wedding. So their brother-sister dynamic, actually got stronger. Now, if this scene would have taken place like a year and a half ago, like a season and a half ago, he'd have been like, well, kill her ass. You know what I'm saying? But now he's actually feeling some kind of way because like he still likes, he actually loves his sister and he built like a rapport with his sister, so he tells them, and he didn't say he quit the tongue. He just took the jacket off, and then I guess, which is the ultimate form of disrespect. And then they didn't. And the thing with first of all, the fight scene was dope. Like it was a kick-ass fight scene. You know, say like I enjoyed the fight scene, but the part about it that got me, it wasn't like the minions. It wasn't even the fight with Young June. The part that got me was Han, the dude with the chain, because he was defending Hassam the whole season. And he was the most loyal person. He was the one trying to be peacemaker, trying to bring everybody together. And it wasn't like he was just like, hey guys, let's sit down and talk about this. You know, we're brothers, we're the Tom, blah, blah, blah. He just started fighting Azam. Like, and I was just like, well, for his character, that was a quick, you know, and I understand the whole thing about like Young June is the boss and you got to do what the boss says. But I'm like, bro, you went from being peacemaker because the whole time when Hazam was fighting like the other random guys, you see Young June and you know and Han in the background, you know, like smoking a cigarette, getting their weapons together, and then he just attacked him. I was like, so there's going to be no conversation. There's going to be no, hey man, you were supposed to be our brother. You're supposed to be one of us. There was no conversation. He just flipped the switch and just tried to kill him. Got his ass beat. You know which is crazy because he's actually one of the better fighters in the whole organization. Like I actually got a little bit more respect for Young June because out of all the fighters, Young June has never been presented as like the best fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like he's always been presented as like he just needs the knives, but he actually put up a fight. I mean, he got his ass beat too, but you know, in the end, Hazam whooped everybody's ass. He did get stabbed in the stomach. Him and Young June fought in the streets. And then he told Young June that Young June knew he was better than him. So he was just like, just kill me and get it over with. And then Hazam knocked him out and then went to go save his sister. But before he went to go save his sister, I thought he was at least going to say, you know, I thought he was going to say something like, you know, unlike you, we are brothers, and then knock him out. But he didn't say that. So, but talk about that whole sequence with the brothers finally, because even in like 2 episodes ago when they did the whole like brothers for life and they toasted, yeah, you knew this, that wasn't going to end well when they made that statement. But talk about that sequence. Like, what do you think about that whole fight sequence and the dynamic between the three of them and their relationship as the Tong effectively being over?
At some point, you know, it was going to be a fight between them two. It was a dope fight scene. That was pretty shocking. I mean, he was always the one who got in between any time that there was a bit of contention. That fight would have lasted
Yeah.
a little bit longer, but you know, he wound up, kicking his ass, you know. And of course, we all knew that Hassan wasn't going to kill young June. It wasn't in his character to do so. It makes you think, you know, what's going to happen, you know, next.
He's out the Tong now. There's also the shame factor because if you're the Hop Way, obviously Young June's still alive, so he still controls the Hop Way. But it's like, bro, your entire Tong just got their ass whooped by one dude. So it's like, how do you put the respect, you know, like back on your name after getting your ass handed to you by one dude? Like
Yeah, 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 yeah. Young June is gonna have to have some explaining contention between two alpha males. If one beats the other, then that person takes over. I.e., Black Panther.
But Hazam doesn't want to take over. Like that's the whole thing. It's like he actually doesn't want to be in charge of the Tong. So it's like, yeah, I whooped your ass. I could become the leader, but I don't want it. You can have it back. And now everybody has to look at their leader, you know, like in shame and everything. So, yeah, he put Young June in a bad situation. It's like part of me's like, you should have just killed him, you know. But unfortunately, like but it's not even like My Ling can say, oh, Young June was defeated by my brother. He's vulnerable now because she was on her deathbed because like the Hopway members who ended up escaping, you know, like Hazam's wrath, they went to My Ling and they were trying to kill My Ling. And I give My Ling respect for this because the actress in real life, I don't even think she speaks Mandarin. If you notice, out of all 3 seasons, she's never spoken in Mandarin. Like she always speaks. So I don't think the actress can. And then she's the one character that never actually fights anybody. You know, so like she never has any fights. So she's not perceived as like, you know, the dominant alpha, because like you said, like with her, it's with her words, it's with her mind. But to see her in the final scene when the Hopway guys were trying to kill her, and the first thing I said was like, where the hell's her husband? I was like, where's her? He was nowhere to be seen. He left this bitch for dead.
Yeah, he's gone. Like,
he, you know, like he dipped, and then you know everybody was trying to kill her, and she, to her credit, she survived. You know what I'm saying? Like she survived. She put up a good fight. She had the shotty though, but you know she still put up a good fight. And then, in the end, when Hazam finally dragged his dead carcass over to where she was, he saw her laying there like crying. And then she got scared at first when she saw him, because she was just like, the Hopway is trying to kill me. And now my brother's here. My brother's going to kill me too. But you can also see in her eyes, there was a part of her that was like, shit, my brother is here to kill me. But she was also like, why do you look like you just got hit by a bus? And then I guess like when he kept saying her name, and she realized like, holy shit, he probably got his ass kicked trying to defend me. And then she hugged him, the two of them hugged each other, they started crying, and that was how that was when the credits rolled. So what do we think about that, as far as like Mai Ling like Mai Ling's struggle to success, and where does that go now? Because again, her husband left the Tom, and we even saw in a post-credit scene, in a final credit scene, her husband, he was at, what was his name, not John or Juan or something, but like her husband,
Leon.
yeah, he like Leon, like he was like he was basically like randomly in Chinatown, and then all the people that defected from the Long Z that went over to him, everybody pledged their allegiance. So now there's a third Tong in the city led by him. Everybody walked away with their hands behind their back. So so breaking it down now, because we already talked about like Young June, basically like that's the only saving grace too, because Leon's Tong is brand new, and because Young June got his ass beat, and because Mai Ling basically lost the Long Z, that's the only way Young June can save face in this whole situation. But what do you think is going to happen now? Because obviously now Mai Ling and Hazam are together. They're going to fight together. They're going to form whatever it is they're going to form together. But like I said, Leon still got his whole crew. So what do you think the dynamic's going to be now going into a season 4? Now that all three of these characters are now like doing their own separate thing.
It's highly likely that brother and sister are going to employ the best talent that they see. I think we may see that they're gonna, explore, for some new blood and some talent out in the streets of Chinatown. I can see that going forward.
Young June still has his whole gang. They were just embarrassed. Leon has all the defectors, so he has his own crew. Mai Ling probably doesn't have a crew anymore, but she's got all the money, and she has the best fighter on her side. So, like you said, I agree with you. They can rebuild, because even if people are just like, "Oh, you're Mai Ling, you're the one that lost the Tong and killed the elders," but it's like, "Damn, but you got Hazam though, and everybody respects Hazam." So they can rebuild if they want to. Do you think they'll rebuild? Do you think what do you like? What is Leon's goal now? Like, what do you even think like Leon's gonna do? Like,
If he wanted to slap the taste out of my mouth at that at that point, he could have, but he didn't. Leon, he's just been very diplomatic. He's just been very displays a lot of integrity. Yeah, he and I don't see him going as hard
yeah,
towards
yeah, he's
towards
not going out for blood.
right. Like he's someone who I think is only gonna look out for his gang's interest and for the interest of whatever plots, he decides that, he's going to take, or whatever whichever territory he decides that he wants to take. But, make no mistake, start some ish with him, he's
Yeah,
gonna,
yeah, he'll put some respect on his name. Going into a season 4, what do you think is going to happen? Like, what's something that you would like to happen? Where do you think, is there something particular you're looking forward to in a season 4? Is there one thing that you think, is there something that you think is going to happen? Now that the Hatchet Man is back, like maybe like when the hell does Penny come back? Like, what are your thoughts on season 4 and where we think season 4 is going to go?
I don't really put that much thought into it. I guess, the one thing that comes to mind is, there was in the original Kung Fu with David Carradine,
Mm-hmm.
he's had flashbacks undergoing when he was under the tutelage of the Shaolin monks. Like you remember that scene, snatch the pebble from my hand,
Yeah,
grasshopper.
yeah.
So I guess like that's the only thing that I can think of. Like I would like to see him have having flashbacks of when he was in the Shaolin Temple.
One thing I would like to see in season 4, I want season 4 to open with a training montage of Assam teaching Mai Ling how to fight. Because it's the two of them now. It's brother and sister now. The two of them are together. And if they're supposed to have each other's back and watch each other's back, this girl needs to learn how to fight. Because she ain't always going to have a gap. And if we get a montage, like an opening scene montage of him training her, I think that'll be dope. But my one and only prediction for season 4 is that the Hatchet Man is going to cause havoc. Hatoy is going to end up, still slaughtering people and killing people, and history is going to repeat itself. Whatever the Hatchet guy does, the season's going to end with Hatoy basically killing somebody, and they're going to frame Homeboy again and put him back in prison. So I think that's what's going to happen. I'm gonna die if that shit happens too. But other than that, like I said, as far as all the side characters are concerned, aside from the mayor situation and the potential of Penny coming back, all the regular characters basically got endings to their storylines. It's really just like the main characters like Hazam and them to see where that goes and what Leon's going to do with the new Tong. I said, but that was pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in. So, was it worth Warrior season 3? Because we got season 2, then the pandemic hit, and we didn't get, we were doing Lovecraft Country, we were doing Warrior at the same time. Both shows got canceled due to the pandemic. And unfortunately, Lovecraft Country did not return, but Warrior got announced, to do a season 3. We had to wait damn near like 2 years for that. So now that we finally got the season 3, Warrior season 3, was it worth the wait? Yay or nay?
Definitely yay.
Definitely yay. So is there any character, is there anything that you would like to see them add to the show, like a new type of character? Would you like to see an old character come back? Or because adding the printer's daughter, I thought was a good introduction. The thing with Han, when he met the other man, and the two of them were at the gay bar together and they were doing their whole thing, that turned into nothing. Like, I thought that guy was like a plant where, like, I thought he was working for the Hatchet Man and he sent him in to infiltrate. Like, I thought his role was going to be this whole big thing, and it turned out to be nothing. So that was actually disappointing, because it just seemed like they just threw that in there just for representation. And the story is like, they did a thing for like 3 episodes. They got into an argument. He left, never came back, and that was it. So, but like the printer's daughter, that actually went somewhere. What I'm saying? Like having the black girl at the bar, the black girl, her storyline actually went somewhere,
I would like to see Shannon Lee reprise her role again.
And for those that don't know, because I didn't know until he told me, in the episode where they fought the Germans, the mom whose son died, that was Sharon Lee.
Shannon Lee.
Yeah, Bruce Lee's daughter. So that was cool. Yeah, if she comes back, that'd be dope. Like, get some more of the family members involved. But give me that Mai Ling Azam montage fight. Like, I want to see that. Yeah, so no word yet on Warrior season 4. So let us hope and pray. And they said we'll keep it locked until we get some word on that. Until then, check out my other reviews, because I got My Adventures of Superman on the channel. I got Harley Quinn on the channel. I got the Blue Beetle review. My Blue Beetle review is up on the channel as well. And we'll just keep reviewing all this superhero goodness and all this special television show goodness until we get more stuff and we can put more stuff up on the channel. So, young Magnus, where can the people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram. That's pretty much my only. Hit me up on Facebook. Isaiah Morris on Facebook. Ohana Kwesi on Instagram.
And for me, as always, you can catch me on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. You can catch me on Instagram at Red Eyes Media. That's Red Eyes with a Z. And on YouTube at Red Eyes Entertainment. So that was it, guys. So thank you for tuning in, as always. Everybody that left a comment for my Warrior reviews up until this point, I appreciate you all. Magnus, I appreciate you, doing the season finale with me. Like, this was fun. I definitely enjoyed it. And for the love of God, let's hope we get that season for y'all. So take care. And as always, until next time, guys, we're out this bitch.
Peace.